So finding that the post rehab support is the issue.
Mm.
So, well, do most of these people that you help, do they have a home to go back to?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we also do family interventions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do family interventions, and with those family interventions, that's where we sit down and we educate the family.
Mm.
Because especially, I won't even say for us black people, but I've realized, because I've also worked, in the more affluent areas. I worked um managing halfway houses and rehabs. um Once we start educating society and in our families about addiction itself, then I believe we would have covered a lot of ground.
Mm.
We do offer post rehab support,
Mm-hmm.
like tagging along to support group meetings, which are very important. And so at this point, we are building a relationship with a company that's closely working with CETA, and they offer learnerships. So I think in the next coming months, or maybe in the new year, we'll then have guys that go to rehab on from us with our help, and then when they come back, they can then get enrolled for these learnerships. We don't work with the police in that way. We work with the police in educating society to say, listen, if you see there's activity like this going on, this is the best way you can go about
Take
in
them.
reporting it. Otherwise, we don't take it upon ourselves to say, hey guys, look, there's a guy dealing there. No.
Just keep on my files.
No, I will leave that to the experts.
Yeah.
We leave that to the experts.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Doning Experience. My name is Samke Maisela, and welcome to another installment of Doning Experience, where we have great chats, great everything over here. So please make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Subscribe. Go follow us on Instagram, and for more inquiries, do not hesitate to send us an email at doningexperiencepodcast@gmail.com. So today I have with me Uneo. Hi, Neo.
Hi, Samge. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring the invite.
Sure.
So, Neo, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So,
Who's Neo? Where is he
excuse me.
from?
My name is Neo,
Mm-hmm.
from Dobsonville.
Mm-hmm.
I am founder of Mohato Foundation, and we specialize in helping those who struggle with drug addiction and alcoholism. We've been registered and active since 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what I do full time. And how it all started was basically my story, my life. I'm having survived 16 years of addiction, and then being able to come clean. I was presented with the opportunity to be able to help other people
Mm-hmm.
who were trying to get out of addiction, and that's basically how Mohato Foundation was founded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, where did it all start? Let's start with how it started for Neo, the drug addiction.
Hmm. Okay. Excuse me. So the drug addiction started quite a long time ago. I had my first rehab stint as a 17-year-old. Not something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
So kids at home, don't be like me.
Don't do
Don't
drugs.
do drugs. So with that, it progressed because it started with the green stuff, and from the green
Mm.
stuff, in fact, it started with alcohol. Yeah, when it's December time, and the parents and their friends around having a jowl, someone would leave a little bit of beer left in the
So
bottle.
it was accessible as
Yeah,
teenagers, yeah.
that was preteen.
Oh yes.
That was preteen,
Mm.
so that's where it all started for me. But when excuse me, when I first felt like my mind had been altered was when I was a teenager, and
Mm.
I started messing around with the green stuff. And from there on, um I think it does sort of hit a ceiling,
Mm.
and the progression then starts. I can say, although it's very unpopular to say this, it is the gateway drug, because
Mm.
from there then I wanted to try other things because that high no longer gave me what I
Mm.
wanted, So yeah.
So what exactly did you move on to after the green stuff?
After the green stuff, I moved on to Mandrakes.
Mm.
And the Mandrakes, although I was on and off, but it went on for, I think, a good 3 years. Yeah, it went on for a good 3 years till I eventually put it aside. And I tried a, let me call it a religion, but a movement, you know. I tried a movement
Mm.
where now I had an excuse to be on the green stuff, and no one could tell me I couldn't do it because how my belief system, was aligned with that.
Mm.
Yeah.
So at which point were you even seeing or really telling yourself, okay, now I'm addicted?
Hmm. It's actually a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first time I realized that I was addicted was when I felt I couldn't function properly without the
Mm.
stuff. You know, so I was very active in my younger years. I played all sports in high school and primary, but in high school I played all sports, and I remember I think it was an under 15 match. Yeah, it was an under 15 match. And I met my old primary school mates in the change room who was playing for the opposing school. And he had the green stuff on him. And, already at that point, I was, I won't say craving, but looking for it because it gave me the edge to
Mm.
be better than my competitors and my
Mm.
opponents at that point.
Mm.
So that's when I realized, okay, something's a bit miss here.
Mm.
Yeah.
So in your time of addiction, what made you keep going back to the drugs besides you knowing, okay, I'm addicted?
What made me keep going back?
Yes.
The desire to get high.
Mm.
you know because with being high comes, it's a form of escapism. I was able to escape everything that I was facing, from the challenges that were happening at home, to my own personal growth and self-esteem that had been dented. Because I was an early bloomer at some point and a bit of an overachiever, so excuse me, getting to high school and meeting competition that was on par or even better than what I was sort of did, shatter my confidence. So
Mm.
I realized that if I can get high, I can actually compete on that level. Be it
Okay.
be it creatively, be it on the sports field,
Mm.
not academically, obviously, but yeah.
So what are some of the effects that you had, like the effects that the drugs had on you at that time?
Okay. Obviously, it was a lack of concentration.
Mhm.
I lost interest in the things that I liked. I became antisocial and just more reserved. I became more reserved, and I withdrew from my peers and found solace in just writing. Whether it's poetry or music,
Mm.
like I just found solace in escaping and just being able to write.
So were you aware of the changes happening with you,
Oh yeah,
or yeah?
yeah, yeah. I was aware, and I'd like to believe everyone who's gone through a journey similar to mine
Mm.
was aware at some point.
Mm.
Um, And with that awareness now comes the thing that I think everyone else is aware. The self consciousness now kicks in to
Mm.
say, I think people can see that I'm not myself now. So it's better if I just withdraw. And yeah, like the awareness was there
Mm.
without a doubt.
So how were things at home? Did they know what you were going through, and what support did you get?
Oh, that's actually a good question. Excuse me. So, my family was aware
Yes.
because I'd come out in the open to say, listen, guys, this is what I believe,
Mm.
and my belief says I can do that,
Okay.
So I wasn't hiding anymore.
Mm.
But for my first rehab stint, I actually went and I spoke with a teacher who was very, very nice at that point. Hello, Miss Fivers. Haven't seen you in many years. Hope you see this. And she was a very lovely lady.
Mm.
I explained to her because she saw that something's a bit miss here. So she approached me, she spoke to me, and I opened up to her. And then she took the time to phone my mother. And during school holidays, she took the time to leave her family
Mm.
and take me to Sanka.
Mm.
you know. Although I didn't finish that program because it was an outpatient program,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm still grateful that someone took their time and the seed was planted.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so, with the help that you're receiving, was there ever, because at that point I'm assuming you were receptive to getting that help, but was there ever a point where you're just like, no, I'm okay, like I want to keep doing this?
Mm, because oh, excuse me, because I came to a point where I felt
Mm.
that I was coping and that I could handle it.
Mm.
I didn't really need the help anymore. But that's not why I stopped going to that outpatient program.
Mm.
So when I felt that I could actually carry on like this was because I passed matric, barely passed matric, but I did. And so after that I went straight into the creative space, into making and recording music. So that already was a comfort zone, and it enabled me to now use to its fullest, let me say, the advantages that you know the stuff brought.
So when was the point where you finally left drugs?
Like for the last
Yeah,
time.
for the last time. Good manje, no.
The last time I got high, or my mind was altered, was on the 8th of February 2019. Yeah.
Mm.
you know having tried the rehab route twice before, and failing, and then when I went for a third time, I was fortunate enough that I went to a treatment center that allowed me to just dig deeper, because there we spent in total 90 days, whereas the average program could offer you 21 or
Mm.
6 weeks. And it's not enough. It's not enough. It's enough to detox, yeah,
Mm.
but is it enough to change behavior? Is it enough to bring about the necessary self-awareness to make the necessary changes? No,
Mm.
it's not.
So what are some of the things that you feel like did not work for you when you were in rehab? Because you said rehab didn't work for you like twice, like
Yeah,
there were two failures.
yeah.
Why do you think that is?
um Excuse me, because honestly I hadn't reached my rock bottom.
Okay.
I hadn't suffered enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't suffered enough. And
You still found comfort in the drugs.
well, not even finding comfort in the drugs. I mean, I was still able to wake up and go to work.
Mm.
I still had means of making money. I was still able to fool those around me, to say, okay, there is this problem, but I'm dealing with
You're
it.
working, yeah.
Yeah. But in the end, how it eventually progressed was I found myself literally a hobo,
Mm.
literally living on the streets, literally eating out of dustbins.
Mm.
And the final straw came when I found myself feeling comfortable sleeping in a cemetery.
Mm.
Yeah, that for me was now um, the ultimate sign that I've now reached a very low in the rock bottom, because
Hectic.
no normal person
Yeah.
would find refuge
Mm.
and shelter and feel comfortable sleeping among the dead
Mm.
while they're still alive.
So, how many years of sobriety are you celebrating now?
um Over five, over half a decade,
Oh,
going on
oh,
six.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
going on
So, how did
six.
you find your way now? Like, now you're no longer living this life,
Yeah.
yeti drugs.
Mm.
So, how do you find your way now? Because I think your mind was so used to that norm.
Yeah.
So, this is a different norm. So, how did you find your way?
I think excuse me. So I'm a member of various 12-step fellowships, and the program that is offered, the 12-step program that is offered, allows for people like myself to live a more simplified life,
Okay.
because we are so used to being in chaos that even when we do get a chance to be in the eye of the storm where it's a bit calmer, we still want to go back. So um what that has taught me is to stick with the winners, not stray too far away from the pack, because that's when the lion and all the predators attack. They always pry out and they look for the weakest one. So it's always the sick ones that are like in the outskirts and outside of the circle. So I try my best to be within the circle, and it's not easy, but it's doable. And I can guarantee you the problem was never drugs.
Mm.
Now was the problem. Now still is the problem. You know, so yeah, I try my best to be the best I can. And when I do fail, when I do take losses, I take them on the chin and we keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Can't dwell
Yeah.
on the negatives, can't dwell on losses, can't dwell on disappointments either. But the one thing that I can share with you now is in the time that I've spent, being clean, not once have I been tempted.
Mm.
Not once has the thought crossed my mind to say, let's try. Not once has there been a situation too heavy that I couldn't bear, because the program allows me, it gives me it gives me tools. I'm armed with tools, and I'm armed with facts about myself.
Mm.
I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, I know, like, SWOT analysis. Basically, I've done that countless times.
Mm.
And at this point, I can gladly and proudly say the obsession has been lifted.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the things when we look at rehab now?
Yeah.
Some of the things included in rehab that you feel are really essential and did help you.
Okay. I think excuse me, let me speak for the treatment center that I went to the last time. What they then offered was something I hadn't, come across in any of my other rehab experiences. And there they offered me a chance to write a letter to myself.
Mm.
And when I was writing that letter to myself, um, I wrote it in the future tense. I didn't write to that current now, because
Okay.
my state at that point, I was defeated.
Okay.
I was busted and
Mm.
disgusted and never to be
You didn't want to
trusted.
talk to that now.
Nah,
Yeah.
I wasn't addressing that now,
Mm.
but I was addressing the future now that I was trying to build, that I'm still trying to build to this point, because I believe, like, working on oneself is something that we can't say I've reached that point. So it's a journey, not a destination.
Definitely.
So when I wrote that letter to myself, I made promises to myself, and it also showed me that was God talking to me
Okay.
at that point.
Mm.
Whenever I go back to read it, I'm always amazed at how a lot of those things have come true. And the one thing that stood out for me in writing that letter is when God told me through that letter that I wrote to myself that if I ever go back again, I will die.
Oh.
Because I have survived two drug induced comas
Mm.
in the space of 6 months.
6 months alone.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know?
How do you think you having this drug addiction affected your family?
You're in a very bad way.
Yeah.
Because, like, let's get on the more, let me say, medical term,
Yeah.
and call addiction a disease,
Okay.
because ultimately that's what the World Health Organization labeled it or classified it in the 1970s. So it's a family disease.
Mm.
And stats, I don't know how much proof there is behind the stat, but is that one addict affects 16 or more people.
Mm.
So you can imagine. I mean, there came a point where I couldn't hide it anymore. And I was never kicked out of home, by the way. So the reason why I left home and chose to live on the street, because I realized I was damaging them.
Mm.
I realized I was damaging my mother. I realized I was damaging my brother. I realized I was causing harm wherever I went. And when I say harm, not even a direct harm, but just looking at me
Mm.
and witnessing my suffering, because these are people that know me from birth, and they know my potential, and they know the kind of person I can be, or
Mm.
person that I am. But obviously the drugs take that away. you know so it affected my family in a very bad way.
Mm.
But it doesn't just go to my family, even the people that are connected to them. Because now, my let me put my brother in this place. So my brother is going to be affected. It's going to, filter through to his marriage. It's going to go into his friendships. It's going to go into his work,
Mm.
because now his mind is not at peace,
Okay. Yeah.
you know. So I'll make this example for you. Um I remember this is now December 2018, a few months before I got clean. I was, we call ourselves, well, Father Christmas, because we carry all these sacks and we push these trolleys, but I just had sacks at that point, so I was a true Father Christmas in
Mm.
December nocha. um and I went to a park, because that's when normally people celebrate and they have these end of year functions. So I just went around picking scrap and, aluminum cans and all of that. And there was this group of people obviously celebrating as well, and they had their own thing there. And there was this one gentleman, who just looked at me, and we had a brief conversation, a brief chat, and he just asked me how I am. And he was like, "You know what, Don, I am Zwaga, let me get you a plate of food. You look like you're a good guy. I
Mm.
don't know what's going on, but let me just try to do something good for you, And I realized then that it doesn't only affect the people that I know or the people that know me, but even just people in general.
In general.
In general, it affects, because the states that I was in, obviously dirty, obviously skinny, looking malnourished, and probably stinky at that point, So I realized then that this goes beyond just me. It's beyond just my family.
Mm.
And the nice thing about recovery is it works just like that as well. It works just the same, where now just walking around, when I share with people that, listen, this is my journey, don't be fooled by, how I look now. I may have, put on a few kilos. Don't look at my cheeks. um don't be fooled by the English, man. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Mm.
Yeah, like, I'm that guy ngile out leyo,
Mm.
where mangihamba estradeni bathi, bheka nange awunyawo bhe. So
You've been there, so
yeah,
you get it. Yeah.
I get it 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But what the point I'm trying to make is, even recovery has the same effect,
Mm-hmm.
you know. For the people that knew me then, when they see me now, it's always like, yo, Ndwana, you such an inspiration, or you're doing well for yourself, and it's all about that,
Mm.
affecting people in a more positive way,
Mm.
making a meaningful contribution, hence, the founding of Mohato
Mm-hmm.
Foundation. Yeah.
And moving on to Mohato Foundation, when did you decide, okay, let me start this to help other people now?
Okay. So this was in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
when the idea was birthed in my head and in my heart. That's when, after I came back from treatment, and then people just came knocking on my mother's door, wanting to find out, how did I do it, where did I
Mm.
go. And I was fortunate enough to go to a private rehab, although it's one of the more affordable ones, but it was still private, you know. So a lot of people couldn't afford that, and they had to try get into government rehab.
Mm.
Now the challenge with getting into government rehab is the waiting period.
Oh, okay.
It is very long, and the sad part about that waiting period is people die while they're still waiting to get admitted.
Mm.
Number one. So I came across a referral agency who are able to speed up the process, but at a certain fee,
Okay.
and um for those that could afford that fee, all gravy, let's go, let me take you there, let's get your process started. And for those that couldn't afford, like, let's say for guys that were literally on the streets and had no contact with their families, or their families didn't want anything to do with them anymore,
Mm.
I had to pop it out my own pocket. Although I didn't have much, I had to ask around. And fortunately, I had people who understood the need for what I was trying to do, which was help people.
Mm.
And then in 2020, it was, I wouldn't say a sudden decision, but it was something that was brought upon me to say, you know what, the best thing for you to do is to start an organization that will help you, to raise funds to take people to treatment and offer post rehab support.
Mm.
And that's how Mohato Foundation was birthed.
Mm.
We launched on the 16th of June 2020.
2020
Is
officially.
it 2020 or
Yes,
2021?
it's 2020.
2020. Yeah.
2020, yes.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
2020. So, in you helping people, what have you realized is the common denominator in the people that have drug addictions?
Hey, Downing Experience is sponsored by Dreamstream. If you'd like to support us directly and gain ad-free version of our episodes, click on the link below.
Yeah. Okay. I think the common denominator, or the thing that I come across the most, is a lack of hope.
Okay.
Yeah. People are dead, yet walking and living among us, but people are dead inside.
Mm.
Hence, you find people not caring how they look, not caring what they do to get the fix. People are essentially spiritually bankrupt.
Mm.
There's nothing left inside. So with that being said, I've come to understand that, look at cancer patients, right? When someone suffers cancer, we want to ride to their bedside and comfort them, and show them the love and support. And then when someone struggles with addiction, when I say addiction, I include alcoholism as well, because it is a drug, right? Yeah. So when someone struggles with addiction, we cast them aside. We don't want them
Mm.
next to us. We don't want anything to do with them, because why? Uyazenzisa,
Mm.
wenza ngamabomu, usile, uloyiwe, you know,
Mm.
amapati and all those kind of things. So um it's very important to show love. It's very important to take the time to sit and be like, Brad, just share with me, man, what is the actual story here? Because what we see is just the symptoms. We don't see the actual thing that's going on inside. It's only then that we get to learn.
Mm.
And I'll share a story from a guy that I was helping a while ago. And he was telling me his life story. You know, um, his mom was a domestic worker, so she didn't spend much time with him. He didn't know his father till he came out of prison,
Mm.
and he went into jail at 19. So when he finally met his dad, the dad was now married with a family, and I think for about 2 3 months he came from another province to come stay with his dad and the new family, but the stepmom didn't want him around
Mm.
because of his prison story, history, and all of that. So from there he had to find ways to survive, and guess what he turned back to?
Mm.
Crime. So with the crime then came the need to numb the pain of not being loved, not being wanted, and that's where the drugs came in again. So it's always important to listen to people, to find out actually what is it, what's wrong, what's going on. And I think that's something that a lot of us should start doing, because if we really do believe in what we preach a lot, and that is spirit of ubuntu, then each one of us has a responsibility to just take the time to find out from guys and
Mm.
ladies, by the way, to say, let's just talk. Tell me about yourself.
Mm.
Have you eaten? When last did you bath?
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
So, what are some of the activities that you guys do, or rather offer, to people who are going through this?
Okay. So, excuse me. Besides the admission process, we do offer post rehab support,
Mm-hmm.
like tagging along to support group meetings, which are very important. And so at this point, we are building a relationship with a company that's closely working with CETA, and they offer learnerships.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in the next coming months, or maybe in the new year, we'll then have guys that go to rehab on from us with our help, and then when they come back, they can then get enrolled for these learnerships. So those are the kind of things that we offer. But the ultimate goal for Mohato Foundation is to open a halfway house where we can have people that have been into primary care, and upon their return, they can then come stay with us for, I think, a period of 6 months or more, depending on, the individual. And there we can, offer, skills. We can offer things like counseling, and even like I mentioned now, the learnerships and all of that, just post rehab support, because 6 weeks is not enough to go into a rehab and come back to the same environment that one messed
Mm.
around in, you know um and that's been proven, because now what then breeds is, it breeds the belief that, my problem is drugs, but not alcohol.
Mm.
you know
Mhm.
so I can put the drugs down, but I'll drink now. Fine, it can go on for about 3 months if they're lucky, but before you know it, the person's back to their original drug of choice. So those are the kind of things that I feel are missing when it comes to the whole thing. You would see people going to rehab and they come back and they go back to using again. It's that post rehab support.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So finding that the post rehab support is the issue.
Mm.
So, well, do most of these people that you help, do they have a home to go back to?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we also do family interventions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do family interventions, and with those family interventions, that's where we sit down and we educate the family.
Mm.
Because especially, I wouldn't even say for us black people, but I've realized, because I've also worked, in the more affluent areas. I worked um managing halfway houses and rehabs. um Once we start educating society and in our families about addiction itself, then I believe we would have covered a lot of ground.
Mm.
Because see what happens, like the question you're asking me, do they have a home to go to? So we can't start the process without including the family.
Mm. Because maybe they are the enablers.
Well, yeah, but let's say, like, for someone who's living on the streets,
Mm.
let's take the worst case scenario. Someone who's living on the streets, we have to take them back to their family to say, okay, guys, the guy's reached out,
Mm-hmm.
he's ready to try doing things differently, and this is how you best support him.
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth is, there's no dustbin Yoguchi you can throw a person away, and each family has a responsibility to look after their own. you know so with that being said, we take the guys and the girls to their families, even if they've been estranged for years. I mean, I've handled a case where the guy was away from home for 6 years,
Mm.
and this is now early days. Zemahat, guy was away from home for 6 years, and within those 6 years, the family thought he actually passed on.
Mm.
So it was a big shock when I went there, um by myself the first time, because he wasn't sure what the reception was going to be like. So to avoid further hurt and disappointment on both sides, we I decided, what, let me just go and test the waters first. And luckily enough, the family was warm and receptive.
Mm.
So when he came in, already, like,
They were just happy to see
they were
him.
just happy to see
Yeah,
him,
to know that he's alive.
you know
Yeah.
whereas a lot of the time just scared,
Mm.
which I can't go back home, I can't go back to this environment or to that person, because let's be honest, we can't blame the drugs for the things we do, man. It's not the nyaupe that goes and steals. It's the person smoking the nyaupe that steals.
Mm.
And it's not the nyaupe that comes to us. It's us that go to the nyaupe, you
Mm.
know. So it's that kind of thing where now even accountability has to come in. We can't keep blame shifting. We can't not take it upon ourselves to say, okay, this is my part. We have to own our part. We have to own it and work on getting better. And like we discussed earlier, it's a lifelong journey. No one ever gets perfect. And ultimately we don't get perfect, we just get clean.
Mm.
And you do realize that there's nothing as fickle as a human being.
Mm.
Siyahlupha nje as
Mm.
people, whether we do drugs, drink or not. Like nje, we're just complicated
Mhm.
beings. Yeah.
So how receptive has like society been towards Mohato Foundation?
You know, fortunately, society has been receptive, very receptive, and I'll tell you why. I think our unique selling point is the educating part.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
because with the education comes the breaking of the stigma. We destigmatize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, whereas before people just look at addiction as something that's something to be shunned upon,
Yeah.
something to be ashamed of because it's taboo, So the reception that we get is mostly coming from the part where we educate,
Mm.
and we host workshops. We partnered with a livelihood last week already to host one for International Day Against Drug Abuse, sorry, and counterfeit something,
Mm.
yeah, to commemorate the day,
Mm.
you know. So we had a workshop last week where we invite the general public as well as stakeholders like your Sankas, your SAPS, your Department of Social Development, your social workers, your police, and they all get on the panels and they speak about what they do. And then comes the time for questions where now the public gets to ask the questions. And it's good because it gives them a
Mm.
chance to engage
Mm.
with the people that use and actually need their services. We'll get questions like why don't we go to the cops? Why singajela amaphoyisa?
Mm.
It's not my job, man.
Mm.
That's not my job. I don't not let me not say we don't work with the police in that way. We work with the police in educating society to say, listen, if you see there's activity like this going on, this is the best way you can go about
Take
in
them. Mm.
reporting it. Otherwise, we don't take it upon ourselves to say, hey guys, look, there's a guy dealing there. No.
Just keep on my files.
No, I will leave that to the experts.
Yeah.
We leave that to the experts. But as for us now, to answer your question, the reception has been warm, and like I just
Mm.
mentioned, that our unique selling point is the educating part.
Okay.
Yeah,
So in wrapping up, of course, unfortunately, we do have to wrap up. I think
sure.
we can go on the whole day about this
Yeah,
because it's very informative, I think.
yes,
It's very essential to have such conversations.
for
But in
sure.
wrapping up, I want to know is not even is how can it be accessible to people who are maybe watching at home and thinking, okay, I want to reach out to Mohato Foundation. I feel like they can help me in this way and in this way. How can they reach out to Mohato Foundation? I think you can look at that camera over
Sure.
there and let the people know.
Okay, so you can reach out to us via email, Mohato Foundation 1, the number 1 at gmail.com, or alternatively 081 0009470. And that is for both WhatsApp and direct calls. And you can find us on Facebook, Mohato Foundation, Instagram, Mohato Foundation, YouTube, Mohato Foundation, TikTok, Mohato Foundation. Let's talk. Let's see how we can help. Please reach out. We'll be glad to be of service. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for availing yourself to have such an important conversation with us on the Donor Experience. We really, really appreciate it and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to you there at home who decided to watch Stoning Experience and engage in this very important conversation. So if you do have thoughts, opinions that you do want to share, please do not hesitate to go down to the comment section and let us know what you think. Maybe we can help you talk to him. So do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. So from me, Sam Goga Maisela, till next time. Bye.